What's up guys, my name is Sean Brown and today I'm going to tell you why I switched from my iPhone to the Galaxy S9 Plus. And before I start the video, I just want to let you guys know my first smartphone was actually a Galaxy S4, but I actually ended up switching over to the iPhone, but now I'm back, so I don't think I'm going to have really any bias since I know how both phones work. I've had my S4 for a while and then had the iPhone 6 for even a longer time than that. So I'm going to try to keep this comparison / review non-biased at all and just let you guys know what I think of each phone and why I switched over. Also, just to let you know, my iPhone is actually an iPhone 6 and I know it's not really a good comparison to compare with the S9 Plus, which is the newest Samsung phone that's out. It should be compared to, I guess, the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8 Plus, something like that. So just bear with me a little bit on this. I know some of the specs of the 10, but this isn't going to be a really full comparison video. I'm just going to tell you why I switched over. But if you want to watch comparison videos, there's some other videos out there that go into more depth than I'm going to go. I just want to keep it simple and just go over just the main reasons why I switched over. So first off, it was just actually the build of the phone, and as you can clearly tell, this is a larger screen. It's actually bigger than the iPhone 10 as well. Its screen resolution is actually 2960 by 1440, and I believe that's 2K quality, just half of 4K. Also on the home screen, there's no physical home button, so that means the screen's gonna be wide open for you to view, just like the iPhone 10, and you'll be able to get a better view of what you're watching and what's being displayed on your phone. Also, as you can tell by the screen, it is super clear. It is a Quad HD Plus Super AMOLED screen, and I believe that the iPhone 10 actually switched to the screen technology, so both screens are going to be really clear and super vibrant. But I've used both phones, the 10 and the S9 Plus, and I don't know, there's just something about the Galaxy that I just like the screen better. It just, I don't know, it just had a better look to it when I was using the phone. Also, something else that's pretty cool, when you go on YouTube with this phone, you can actually extend the screen when you're on YouTube. It's going to crop down just the top just a little bit, just to make sure it's full screen on the phone. But it is pretty cool that it makes it full screen, and you just get a better viewing experience instead of having some black bars on the side, since this the screen is actually not 16:9 aspect ratio, just like the normal video formats. So just keep that in mind, since the screen is 2960 by 1440, you will actually be able to view 1440 videos to its full quality on the phone, since that's its screen resolution. Also, something that I liked about the Galaxy that the iPhone did not have was expandable storage. So what you get on the Galaxy S9 Plus, you get 64 gigs to start off with, and then you can expand up to a 400 gigabyte micro SD card. So for me, since I film a lot of things and take a lot of pictures with my phone, that's actually a really big plus because I've been running out of storage on my iPhone a lot. I know iPhone started to make it their base, I think 32 gigs instead of 16, but it is nice to know that I can expand my storage if I need to up to 400 gigs, which is, I think, is a lot more than I actually need. But so far the 64 gig to start off is pretty good. Also with this phone, it has stereo speakers, which means there's audio coming from the front and there's audio coming from the bottom of the phone. So you'll get audio on both sides. And I actually really like the sound quality. I was watching YouTube videos playing out loud without any headphones, and it was actually really clear. And it was nice to hear coming from both sides just because it just makes it more clear instead of it coming only from one port. And I believe the iPhone 10 also has stereo speakers as well. Also, I'm not sure how long the battery lasts on the iPhone 10. I've heard it's not doing that well, but on the Galaxy S9 Plus, I've actually had a really good experience with the phone. I barely have to charge it in the middle of the day unless I'm just, I don't know, watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos or have it to max brightness. But there is also settings where you can expand the battery life on your phone just by kind of minimizing some other apps. So you can kind of decrease it to a mid power mode, and then there's also a max power save mode, which actually you can send it up to a really long amount of time. So having good battery life is actually really important because, you know, if you go somewhere you don't have a charger on you, then at least you know your battery can last you a while. And the phone also gives you an estimate of how long the battery is going to last, and it's been pretty accurate from what I've been seeing, and you can actually last pretty long on a low percentage. Also, something a little bit extra about this phone, it is cheaper than the iPhone 10 by, I believe, about $100. It's not exactly $1,000 like the iPhone 10. It's a little bit under $1,000, but if you're looking to save some money, then the Galaxy S9 Plus will save you some money. Not too much, but it will save you money. Also, when I got my phone, if I traded in my iPhone, then I would have got a bigger amount of money back on an S9 Plus rather than trying to buy an iPhone 10 or another iPhone. So that was also a huge plus when buying this phone because I was able to save more money. Okay, so now for the second reason, which is some software aspects of the phone. So on the Galaxy phones, just not even just the S9 Plus, just all Galaxies, I found it that you're able to customize the home screen a whole lot better than the iPhone. If you ever switched over and you wanted it to look like an iPhone, you can actually make it pretty much look exactly like an iPhone. I don't really know why you would want to do that, but if you really just like the aesthetics of the iPhone, then you could definitely do that on the Galaxies. So you could either get like a whole separate launcher on your phone to make it look different, or you can actually just move around some stuff. And I actually found I was able to change how many apps I wanted on the home screen, so I could like change like if I wanted like 4x6 or just any type of number that I wanted. And there's actually widgets on the screen such as like a Google search on the front, and you can also have a weather app like on the front screen instead of just having to go through an app to look at it. So there are a whole bunch of ways you can customize the look of your phone, but I didn't really do too much. I just moved a couple apps around and just changed the number of apps on each screen that I wanted. Something that's also pretty cool about this phone is it also has facial recognition, and it has a fingerprint ID sensor. And before I used to use the facial recognition a lot, and it would actually open pretty fast, but I figured out that the fingerprint sensor actually opens your phone a whole lot faster because your phone could be completely off, but as long as you just press it, you don't have to press the power button at all. As long as you press the fingerprint sensor, it'll just turn right on right away instead of having to open it and then do it. And also when you do the Face ID, you don't have to swipe up before doing a Face ID scan. As soon as you power on the phone, it'll scan your face and then it'll open right away. But if you don't want that, you can turn a setting just to have it swipe first before it actually scans your face. And something with the face scanner, first, there's just a general face scan where like you kind of take a picture of your face and it recognizes it when you just scan your face. But something they added is an iris scanner, and what it does, it just scans your eyes on top of the face scan, so it makes it a little bit more secure than it was before. And from some of the reviews that I've seen, I think the iPhone X's face scanner is a little bit better because it can do it in the dark a lot better than the Galaxy. But honestly, like I said before with the fingerprint sensor, I don't really use the face scan that much. Most of the time it's just kind of automatic, like if I just put my face there, then it'll just turn on. So I'd rather just put my finger here without pressing any power button, and then it just turns on. Another thing that I liked about the Galaxy S9 Plus is that it has a built-in maintenance feature, and what that is you can clear some of your junk files like cache files, and you can clear up some of your memory from your phone actually in the phone itself without having to download any apps. Also, something on the Galaxies that I always preferred over the iPhones is that you can close all your apps at once. I know iPhone added that you can, I guess, use 2 fingers to close your apps, but I don't think they have a close all button yet. I'm not sure, but on the Galaxy they have a close all apps button. I don't know why Apple hasn't added that yet because I feel like it'd be so easy to incorporate. Also, when I got this phone, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, how am I going to get all the stuff from my iPhone onto my Galaxy? Like, I thought they were going to have to do some weird transfer that might take too long. But Samsung has prepared for that, and they have a thing called Smart Switch. And basically what that does is it takes everything from your iCloud that you have and then it just transfers it right to your phone, even your wallpaper. So it's all transferred to your phone just through the app. And it didn't take too long. It may took about, like, I guess 20 minutes, something around that time. It all depends on how much you had on your iPhone before, but you can get it all back on your Galaxy if you decide to switch over. So on the topic of software, there are some downsides, I guess, if you've switched over. So the only thing that I miss right now is just iMessage and emojis. So basically, with iMessage, you can use Wi-Fi just to message instead of using like actual text data. So let's say you're in a place that has like no signal, but they have Wi-Fi there, you'll still be able to message all your friends. But if they don't want to get, let's say, like Google Allo or like Google Hangouts to message you, then you might be left out of a group chat because they probably want iMessage over that. There are ways to compensate for it, like Google Allo and Hangouts, but most of the time people won't want to get something extra to do that. Also with FaceTime, they have something called Google Duo. I know some of my friends have that, but not all of them have it, and I don't think all of them want to get it. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're really used to iPhone emojis, then it's going to be a little hard to get used to, but overall, like, I think it's just emojis. And I mean, when you send over your emojis to them, it's going to look the same unless it's on Snapchat. So the emojis aren't too horrible looking, but the iPhone emojis I think definitely look better. Also, if you're wondering what Instagram and Snapchat look like, I'll show you here. So Instagram, you know, I guess it looks somewhat similar. It's just like a little bit, I feel like it just has a taller screen in it since it kind of operates on full screen a little bit. And, you know, just, I don't know, you can see all the posts there. And for Snapchat, it's actually pretty good. I know that Android has gotten a lot of hate for the Snapchat quality, but I think it's definitely improved since it has before. And sometimes you may have a crop when you send a Snapchat. Like, I got messages about that before, but just recently, like, most of my friends who said they had that before, like, it didn't crop anymore. So maybe it might have been in a Snapchat update to fix that. But honestly, I haven't had that many problems with the apps I use, like Instagram and Snapchat, through the Galaxy S9 Plus compared to my iPhone. I don't know, it just seemed pretty fine to me whenever I was using it. Also, one other cool feature I forgot to mention is that on the Galaxy S9 Plus, you can go to your settings and actually make the edge of your screen light up whenever you get a notification. So on mine, I have it light up green. You can change the type of color you want or the type of animation that the edge of the screen lights up to. But I just think that's pretty cool that you can be able to do that, and I don't know, it just makes it look more fancy. And finally, the third reason why I switched over, which is kind of the main reason actually, was its camera. So with this camera, it actually has a dual aperture lens, and what that means, it means that I can switch through two apertures on its stock lens. The first one is f1.5 and the second one is f2.4. So with this, having a 1.5 aperture lens, that means a whole lot of light is going to actually come into the lens, and then that means you're going to have better low light photos than maybe some other smartphones out there. Also, that allows for kind of a blurry background when taking photos. You can either do it through the lens itself, or you can even use the live focus through the phone, which is kind of like iPhone's portrait mode. So with the front facing camera, it's actually 8 megapixels and it's 1080 HD, and the aperture for the front lens is f1.7. Alright, so what's up guys? Now I'm filming through my Panasonic G7 right now, and then this is the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. I'll give you guys a little comparison. So you can hear the sound on the Galaxy S9 right now, and this is the sound on the Panasonic G7. And obviously it's not going to be as good as quality as my Panasonic, but I guess you can get a little bit of comparison what it is like to a mirrorless or like a DSLR type of feel. So that's the comparison with that. Okay, well, it actually happens to turn out that this front cam can actually film in 1440, and I actually didn't even realize that. So hopefully the quality looks a little bit better. Not sure, but yeah, instead of filming 1080, it can actually go up to 1440. So this is what it looks like on 1440. So the rear camera on this phone, like I said, it has a dual aperture lens, and it is actually 12 megapixels. And the highest setting that you can record on this phone is actually 4K 60 frames per second, which is actually pretty ridiculous. It's not going to be the same as like 4K 60 frames on, let's say, something like a Panasonic GH5, but it is pretty good quality, and you are going to be able to slow it down to half speed since it's at 60 frames per second on the 4K. And also on 1080 HD, you can film at 240 frames per second, so that means you can slow it down to an 1/8 speed, and then you can also film at 120 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and 30 frames per second. And also something crazy with this phone can film at 960 frames per second at 720p. But with the super slow-mo mode, there is a little bit of a drawback to it. So since this is nearly filming at 1000 frames per second, it's only in a short burst. I think it records up to like 0.8 seconds, but then it slows that down like so much that you can actually see everything that's being slowed down. But it's kind of a little hard to use. I haven't used it that much. I'll show some examples here. But something you have to do, you can either turn it to manual, and what you have to do for that, you have to tap it at the time you want the slow-mo to start. But it's kind of hard a little bit to time because it's only filming, I think, like less than a second of footage. So it's a little bit hard to time that. Or you can use the auto mode, and basically you put it in a yellow box in this camera, and then whenever it detects movement in there, then it'll start filming and be able to capture it. That is crazy to see how it's nearly 1000 frames per second on a phone, so that's pretty good. I think it's still in development, so over time, it probably will get better, but right now it is a little bit hard to use. So to go a little bit more into the different kinds of modes on the camera, one of the modes on the front-facing camera is a selfie focus mode. And basically what this does, it just detects your face and it will kind of blur everything behind you. And I've used this a couple times, but honestly, like, I don't see why you would need to use it too much, because it has a pretty good aperture on its front-facing camera already. With the selfie focus, it is adding fake blur to it, and sometimes it might make the top of your head a little blurry, or maybe the edge of your ear. I guess it is pretty cool to have, but I don't really see myself using it that much because it kind of softens up the image too much rather than just using the regular selfie camera. Also, there's an AR emoji mode, which is kind of like the iPhone's Animoji. And I don't really see a point to this. I mean, it's just kind of not my thing. I think it's more of a kid's thing. They might find it fun to use. And then there's also some cartoon ones that you can use if you find that interesting. And also, one of the front-facing camera modes I found really interesting was a wide selfie mode. So let's say you're trying to take a selfie with some friends but can't really fit it in there. Then you can either hold it upright and then you can tilt it left and right, and then it'll capture all your friends in that photo. So you can get even a longer photo if you hold it horizontally rather than in portrait style. So one of my favorite modes on the rear facing camera is the Pro mode. So basically with the Pro mode, if you're actually used to using cameras on a manual setting, then it's actually really useful to use this mode because you can actually adjust the ISO, you can adjust the aperture, you can manually adjust the focus from like distances, so like close up or far away, and you can manually adjust the white balance, and you can adjust the shutter speed as well. So I feel like being able to access all those settings just on a phone is pretty ridiculous. You can get pretty creative with it if you're actually a really good camera user, and I guess it can even prepare you to use a real camera like a DSLR if you wanted to. It's just kind of a good practice to use. So the live focus mode on the Galaxy S9 Plus is just like the iPhone X's portrait mode, and I don't really use this mode too much because the aperture on the back camera is already 1.5, which you can get pretty good blurry background if you wanted to. But honestly, I don't really use that mode too much just because the automatic camera is already pretty good by itself, but you can get some pretty good image while using live focus. And that pretty much wraps it up for the camera side of it. It's really nice to see the good quality of the photos and videos on the screen since the screen resolution is actually 2K. So playing back photos and videos is actually really nice to do on the phone. So that's going to wrap it up for the video. Just a quick summary. I like this bigger screen on the Galaxy S9 Plus compared to the iPhone. I like the software features a little bit more on the Galaxy S9 Plus and the display. And the camera has really nice features on it. But like the iPhone X and this phone, the quality to it's pretty close in comparison. I don't really have an iPhone X to compare it with, but there is a video by SuperSaf TV. I checked that out, and it's actually a really good video. You should check it out. I'll have a link in the description so you can look at it. But in summary, both cameras are actually really good, especially since you're just using your phone and not an actual camera like a DSLR. But with that being said, I'm not saying either phone is better. It's actually what is best for you. I just thought the Galaxy S9 Plus would be a better fit for me instead of the iPhone. But yeah, if you were looking to possibly switch over and you just need a little bit more info, hopefully this video was able to help you. If you have any questions about the phone, you can leave them down below in the comments. I've had this phone for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and as this video gets older, then I'll have the phone for longer and you'll be able to ask me questions still about the phone, and I'll kind of have a little bit more experience with it. Also, I have all the products linked down below as well as my camera equipment too. And yeah, that's just the main reason why I switched over from the iPhone back to the Galaxy S9 Plus. So I hope this video was very informative to you guys, and just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.